Well, once again, a good opportunity to talk with Superintendent Wyeth Jessee from the Shelton School District. How are you?
Great, Jeff.
We're moving closer and closer into September, the start of school. Next week, I have a long conversation with your finance director, Clinton, and so I am going to kind of forego a lot of those topics that we usually talk about here, so I'll bring it up with him. But we are moving into a big school year, and I think a good time now for you to kind of talk to me about some of the successes that you ended last year with, the trends that you saw last year, and what you're moving towards, more of the issues when it comes to problems in the classrooms, those types of suspensions and things like that, the reading levels, the attendance issues. Kind of where did you end the school year, and what are you looking to for this year?
Yeah, there's a lot of success here with the Shelton School District. So there's a ton of reports coming out right now, Jeff, about school districts and about what have you done since COVID. And I know I bring up COVID all the time. It's a huge benchmark because the data for those 2 years is pretty much meaningless because how many kids accessed education in general, irregardless of the grade or location. And for us, when I got here, right during the end of the COVID, was also we as a community developed a strategic plan. It's a 5-year strategic plan, Jeff. And so we are headed into year number 4. So as parents, guardians, community members, you and I were previously getting on, we're talking about business and internships. Those are all important things. We cover a huge span of grades, preschool all the way through the age of 22, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are relying on us to do the best we can for the students they give us. And the Shelton School District has absolutely done that.
So give me some of the benchmarks. We see the sign outside about the reading levels, and they've increased over the last couple years. I know you're highly focused on the special needs and special education of the students across the district. What are some of the wins that you're seeing, and how you're able to get those continued despite the challenges that you and the districts facing?
Let me give you a couple numbers and then a couple stories behind those numbers. So one, in the strategic plan, one of our 4 priority areas is early literacy. And that early literacy is not just about can the student read, but it's also, do you enjoy reading? Do you love literacy? I had a number of people come up to me during the farmers market here in Shelton the other weekend, and were like, I love reading, and I'm like, this is great. You're getting kids to love to read. I go, that is the point. It's not just to read, it's to love to read.
Right.
And so our work has been focused on that. And so they had just announced literally last month, we're the number 1 school district in all of Washington State for growth in early literacy. So that means literally state standard test, happens to be in 3rd grade. That's the benchmark used nationally. And we are nationally recognized, and we have to be number 1 in Washington State for growth on early literacy. It's been a huge amount of work for our educators and our leaders, and honestly, our students too. They've done a great job of not only just learning how to read, but again, liking to read. And that's evident by how many kids are meeting standard. So the story behind that is, if you just go back to the 2022, you would have on typically 75 out of 300 of our 3rd graders meet or exceed standard in reading and writing.
Okay.
So just picture that. There's out of 300, only 75 meeting standard. Now we have literally 54 more students. So that's 54 students now over that course, now that we produce year in, year out. So if we were running the same percentages, 25%, and now you get 43%, that means that this last year we would have had 54 students fewer to meet standard. That's a lot of kids, 54. And that really is important for 4th grade, then 5th grade.
Right.
Right. And then you're like, oh, the kid's engaged because they can understand the content. And absolutely powerful for getting ready for whatever career and the technical work that they have to do in the manuals, whether that's, engineering or it's welding or working on the cars or going out there and working in government agencies, right? And or helping the environment, like whatever it is, that's amazing that we can produce every year, 50 plus students being able to read and write at grade level or beyond than we used to. That's a huge deal to a lot of families. And a lot of students.
Explain a little bit about, because too, we have talked over the years on how what is going on in the classroom now is not necessarily what was happening in the classroom when parents listening to this, grandparents listening to this were in the classroom. It's not C-Spot run, things like that. What are those skills? What type of reading is happening? What type of reading are they comprehending now at this third grade level?
So at the third grade level, I like it. One of our board president, Matt Wheelander, does a really good job. He's like, I remember when I was in third grade and it was a big deal to read a chapter book.
Yeah.
And that's a really simple thing. I think most, like you're saying, parents or guardians or grandparents, whoever's out there listening, like, I remember when I started reading chapter books. And chapter books can be at younger grades, so you can do that. But at third grade, you really get into the complexity of character development and plot. And so you're going through chapters and the story has more development, right? And it's enriching as far as the setting that they set instead of, like you were saying, watch, spot, run.
Yeah.
And so readers have to develop those skills and their word attack skills so that they can go, oh, I know that sight word. I don't even have to be able to decode it, but I can just see it and I know the word spot. I've memorized what it sounds like and I know what its meaning is. Those are the things that our teachers do of helping them decode more complex words in addition to some memorization, which is key because the more the kids can be fluent and building their stamina and reading, then they pick up new words, right? You keep building on that skill over time and you get more fluent, and then you build in the last part of not only reading quickly enough so you're not getting stuck on words, you can decode them, but then you have that ultimately what reading is about, comprehension. And so they can comprehend what the book is about. And those chapter books at third grade are really key because you're no longer focused on learning how to read, you're reading to learn.
Right.
And that's the really essential thing we want as early as possible for our students so that when they get to, like you and I are talking about, middle grades, man, it gets complex. In a science class or a math class, like the vocabulary can just be really overwhelming sometimes. And you have to also write. And so we want to build that confidence, want to get those skills as early as possible. And that's why I keep talking about it. That's why we've invested so much time and energy into early literacy.
One of the other tenets in the plan is, safe and welcoming schools, things like that. So talk to me a little bit about where you ended last year and what you're moving through this year on the goals when it comes to all grade levels and students feeling safe and welcome.
Right off the bat, I want to invite anybody listening, if you want to come see and walk into our schools, I invite you to come. Just schedule a visit. We can walk you through, just to kind of see, hey, what's going on in the schools. When I talk to people in the community, I'm like painting out these stories of what's going on. They're loving it. I had 2 parents come to me about OBDH, yes, junior high. And I know that, and I know that grade level, 13 and 14-year-olds.
Sure.
They were like proud parents of OBDH. Says, I'm getting a really good education there because the staff and the district have worked really hard about creating a safe and welcoming environment. And so, again, over the last 3 years, we've gone from 865 separate expulsions or suspensions now to 200. That's a lot of cut on that. And people like, there's still some outlandish stories I hear about behavior, or
right, the
things that or bullying. Like it's a common one since I've been in this profession for 25 years, and I'm like, well, one, there isn't always be student behaviors. They're learning. Young kids do it. And the parents and guardians, your kids were never perfect. And there was a lot of opportunities to learn about, why did you choose to throw the rock and it hit the car or through the window, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, those things, they're going to happen in school. We have a number of kids that experience a lot of trauma, so we work on that. But by cutting down those instances, we can really further address those kids who need more significant supports with their social, emotional development. That's important to us, Jeff, so that those students continue to learn and that there's less disruption to the learning environment, so our teachers continue to teach. But there's still going to be those moments that are teachable moments. We call them teachable. That behavior is really a form of communication. It's not because they're out to make your life miserable. It's they're telling you something else is going on for them. They struggle to be friends. They're struggling with their learning because I don't know how to read or write at grade level.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with just knowing my own competence or some stuff that's going bad in my life, and I just don't know how to really share that with others. Those are what's going on for kids. And that's been like that in all the districts I've ever worked in. We've done an incredible job decreasing those, so especially because sending kids home I'm not teaching something. We do want to exercise when there are fights or drug use or ongoing bullying. Yeah, you're going to get suspended here in the Shelton School District. That is going to continue to happen point blank because we want to give a little space to allow the student to reflect, for other kids to build a plan, and then successfully work on that. We've had that so when kids that do need supports, they have a plan. They have a written plan for them individually for each of those kids so that we're ready to support them, get them counseling, modify their day, help them with whatever the skill is that they need to do.
So how did you drop those numbers from 800 to 200? What was that? Is that more of the teachers and the plans that you had talked about, or are you overlooking things, or what are the things that
lot it takes a lot
hear that? Okay,
it takes a lot, but there's really 3 fundamental things that really make a huge difference. And again, I invite anybody listening to reflect on your own education, right? For you, Jeff, think back to who was your favorite teacher? Who was a teacher that you're like, man, I love them?
I can think of a couple.
Okay, all right. And I bet they shared these 3 things. I bet you had a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
Right? I bet that they had structures and routines. You knew how to navigate that class. You knew, hey, this is what we do. So if I want to sign out, I know where I got to go. I know where I need to hand my assignments. I know when to raise my hand, right? And I know what I can and cannot get away with,
right,
for all the tomfoolery, all the joking around, right?
Yeah,
you knew where you lied, and they were teaching you things. They had high quality instruction that was engaging you. They met you as a learner. Those 3 ingredients, Jeff, are necessary for every classroom in every school for every student. And without them, missing one of those ingredients, that's when things can go sideways. And so this is just an issue for. Again, I would say this not just here. It's not unique to Shelton. This is an issue going on and so we worked hard on those 3 things. Our staff, especially this year, I can't tell you. I know I've said it before in previous conversations we've had. Is our staff have really worked on those structures and routines and that engagement piece, because when you don't have it, as I like to say, kids will entertain themselves.
Right.
I don't want kids to entertain themselves so much. I do want them to feel like they're learning something and that the teacher has a good enough relation to go, and how to bring them back in. And our teachers have done an incredible job. I can't tell you how many classes I walked into. Every single 20 of the 24 students, for example, in a classroom are literally learning, listening to the teacher, and then they're raising their hand, or they can turn and talk about the topic that they're learning on, or go back to their desk and do it's happening everywhere, all over the Shelton School District, at all 8 of our schools. It's amazing. There's a lot more to it, but those 3 ingredients, just like I'm sure if you thought about that, and then if it wasn't such a good classroom, and you didn't have such a good experience, Jeff, I bet one of those ingredients were missing.
Interesting. You have a new staff. Every year you get new staff. People retire, move, things like that.
Yep.
How do you get those new folks to buy in on the plan, the strategic plan, the culture, the concepts moving forward as new teachers fresh out of teacher school or coming from a different background from a different school?
So we do business a little differently here in the Shelton School District. That's why we get results. We take the taxpayer dollars they give us, the kids they give us, and we get amazing results. You just heard it. Like, great, #1 in the state for early literacy. I'm sure we're one of the top districts for the number of decrease in suspensions. Our attendance is up from 81% to 86%. That's a lot of kids. That's 215 kids no longer chronically absent over this last year. 215.
So
that's a lot of kids, right? Like, so all these things that we're doing, Jeff, and the teachers that we have, we teach them the Shelton way. We invest a lot in professional development. Next week's our summer summit. It's for 3 days. The first day is with all of our educators. They're in the room. We're, orienting ourselves. What's our focus for this year? We're working, doubling down on those structures, routines. Those take years to develop. They're not just, whether you're even a veteran teacher, you're always trying to hone it a little bit about,
right.
And different generations are different, cell phones wasn't an issue. Got to continue to figure that out. We're a no cell phone school district next year, and so those are the things that, we work on to, how do you manage that then? What do you do? What's a good conversation to have? How do you do it without getting into a conflict cycle or an argument with the kid? You don't want to do that. You want to take up the time for that. So new teachers coming in or a veteran, we teach them our way. We have a lot of our teachers help mentor other ones. And then we have dedicated teachers to literally mentoring staff that are in their first 3 years to make them the best they can. Because we know the research says, those first 3 years in the teaching profession are make it or break it. Either you build the skill and you got it and you can do those 3 ingredients especially. If not, then the probability of them learning those skills and being highly proficient in it decrease significantly after year 3.
When it comes to things like no cell phones in the classrooms, how do you get that across to parents who may go, well, my little Johnny's not the issue. It's not my student who's the issue. And what if I need to contact them? How do you explain that this is a district-wide policy now? Mm-hmm. And even if your little Johnny isn't 100%, it is 100% great, they're still going to get a text or a ding or a notification, and that can throw that whole class period off, especially in the high school.
Again, Jeff, I invite people to come onto our campuses and see what's going on. When I got here, there must have been 25, 30 kids out at the Huff and Puff on any given day.
Right.
I don't see them there anymore. I go to OBJH. I walk in, and there was just kids milling around all the time. Now I'm down to a handful, right? And so those are things that the staff have worked really hard on. And if, to answer your question directly, if a parent's having an issue, call your teacher, call the teacher, work with it right away, get it in the bud. Let's not wait for it to happen. But also remember, there's always 2 sides to every story, right? And so your point is, all right, let's say my kid's perfect anyway. Well, de-escalating other kids and taking on conflict is a skill for everyone to develop and continue to work on. And for us, we want to continue to work with kids to figure out how to navigate some of those spaces. And it takes a lot of time, right? Like to keep something from to de-escalate a situation. If you want to get a conflict, you can always get one going. To be bad is easy. To doing the right thing takes a lot of work and help. And we want to make sure that we continue to help our kids. If things escalate, that's why we have school administrators. They're there, and we have counselors, we have mental health therapists, we have security personnel. We create plans when kids need it. We'll exercise those. We want to work our way from just suspending because it's not teaching them. We'll use it, but then again, like I said, what is going that we can reshape the environment for those kids so that they can continue to learn because they're going to get older. They come out in this community. Right? They graduate, or we want to help them graduate. If they don't graduate, you're going to experience them one way or the other. So schools give us some time and break, give our educators an understanding that we're doing the best we can with whoever walks through that door. And we've done an incredible job on it. It's just understanding there will always be kids that have emotional, behavioral difficulties or challenges in schools.
How do you work? You mentioned some of the different generations, and throughout the district, there are older teachers and newer teachers. And even within there, I guess it kind of goes from, well, you probably have some baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Y, maybe even Gen Z now. How do you encourage the cross collaboration on what worked best for them when they, in the classroom, and looking at both new ways of teaching and engaging and the older ways of teaching and engaging?
Well, one, I just learned a couple new generations I didn't know about that you just told me.
There's a bunch out there.
There's so many. I don't know. I don't know. Like Generation X, Y, Z.
That's it.
I'm losing it there, Jeff. And millennial. Why does someone get to say millennial?
Gen X.
I know I'm Gen X. That's what I do know.
Gen X goes till 1980-ish. Then it's millennial.
All right.
Then we don't have to go through all the time, but that's what it is.
I don't know why millennial gets something different.
I don't know.
Else gets something letter. I don't know. We're working on it. Baby boomers,
they have their own.
They have their own as well. This is like it operates. This is like this in any organization. I mean, like you're asking me as superintendent of a school district. I'm like, okay, this is just the facts of life. Like you're just gonna have a lot of different generations in one setting. And we have worked on it. I mean, like here, especially in like district office, right? Like we're small. We don't have a lot of people, but we have these different generations. It just kind of pops out more sometimes when you're working in a smaller environment of like, oh my gosh, like you're just near retirement. You just got out of college 3 years ago.
Sure, yeah.
And there's just different beliefs. Like we just start with beliefs. Like what are your beliefs about work ethic, how to work along, how to resolve conflict, how do you communicate, right? Like some people are like, I don't feel very comfortable at all on email. Like other people are like, I love face-to-face. And other people, as you know, this almighty cell phone is the only way to communicate, right? So there's different ways that we have it. And we train staff on it. So actually some common ways and understanding that there are going to be differences between different generations. So we built that PD, including myself. I spend time along with our HR department and our school leaders and our department heads to work on this, and then have activities with our staff to understand people are different. They're going to come to the table with different beliefs and understandings. Sometimes it's around age, sometimes just where you're from, like whether you're from the South or something, or from the North. Sometimes there's just those different, there's just different ways that people have had different experiences that have shaped who they are. And we recognize we got to work within it. But there are things that we do have for the district that are non-negotiables. And for educators, I keep going back to, well, you might be from somewhere where you used to yelling at kids. We don't tolerate that here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Yell at a kid or to demean them. We're not looking to have that experience for students. So some people may have had that.
I guess that's kind of,
does that make sense?
That's kind of what I was going for. So I can remember, stories that my mother would tell me, right? With Sister Mary Margaret rapping knuckles with the ruler, right? Or with me growing up, you would see kids have to go stand outside or in the corner or this, and get kind of pushed away from the rest of the classroom during the learning experience, and how those have changed. Probably, I guess more.
We care
so.
what works, as I like to say. Is it evidence based? Like there's all sorts of ways of doing things, Jeff, but it may not be suitable for our population we serve or our community or the students we have. So we're a nonpartisan organization that's here to serve whoever walks through the door, and we need to respect that. and do the best by them. I am so passionate. I'm going to get really fired up here. Is like, this is an incredible school district. Yeah, there was a lot of things that happened in the past. Not so great. But I do know, having talked to hundreds of people that came through the Shelton School District, that they have a lot of heart for what happens with kids here, even when they're long gone, even if they don't have kids in our system. And what I would tell them is, come and take a look. Come and look at our numbers. Look at what we're doing. This is not the same Shelton School District that it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 3 years ago. Things have changed. And so our reputation and the things that need to be put to the side is what I invite people to do. And, and they're like, well, I don't know if I would believe what Superintendent Jessee tells me, whatever. I'm like, come and see it. Come see it. Come see it in action. I'm so proud of our teachers and our school leaders and our counselors and our physical therapists, and our paraeducators, our bus drivers. They are all doing all that work. All those numbers are because, Jeff, they all committed to doing what's best for kids. That's not happening other places. That's happening here. I got nothing to, I pride. I knew, yeah, sure, the Shelton School District, trust me, when I deal with other people outside this community, the Shelton, Shelton, I'm like, no, check it out. And then actually our reputation in other environments outside of this community, it has changed. And that's why those teachers are seeking us out. Those school programs at the universities and colleges, they want to send their kids here. You know what I get to do? My head of HR, Tabitha, she gets to send an email next week saying, hey, thank you so much for sending us some of your best people that are committed to early literacy, especially for elementary, because that's usually where we have more turnover. Thanks for sending us your best teachers and helping us be number one in the state for early literacy growth. Thank you. Because that's what we're doing. And they know that. Success breeds more success, Jeff. You know that. I mean, that's our listeners know that. Sure, if you want to be labeling us and whatever we are, sure, we always got room to improve, for sure. No doubt about it. But this district does things for kids first. 54 kids now can read that wouldn't have read in the third grade 3 years ago. That's 54 kids. 215 kids that now are no longer chronically absent. 215. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. And you know what? When they're not in school, Jeff, they're getting probably in some trouble.
Right.
One way or the other. I don't want to scale the trouble, but we know when kids aren't in school, they're in trouble. Yeah, some of those kids coming to school. Yeah, my graduation rate's down this year because we went out and almost got 50 plus kids out of the forest and brought them back to school that had disappeared for, I don't know, all the practices that happened since COVID, where every district is struggling with that. We went out and got them. Cedar and Choice are doing great things to engage those kids that maybe might not have wanted to be in school. I get it. I was one of those kids that literally fell asleep on my desk in high school. I did. I had a drool mark. I'd have to wake me up sometimes. I was so bored. But we're trying our hardest to engage these kids, and we love them. And we feel very fortunate to have what we have and what we're able to do. I just invite people to be open-minded. Come check it out for yourself. See what we're doing. See the amazing things can read and write, do the math, get along, be teacher. It's just amazing. And if they can come and see that, I feel confident that they would frame their own opinion as of whether something they read on social media or heard about us that was 10 years old. It's just not true.
Well, the opportunity is coming quick because the school year will be here before you know it.
Yes, they're coming back.
We got the back to school celebration here coming up soon next week based on when we're taping this. And then kids will be in the classrooms. There's going to be, as usual, that first Friday home football game at the high school is going to be another big open house opportunity for the community to come, not only cheer on the high climbers, but see all the clubs that are going on and all the things that are happening at the high school level. And it sounds like you're gearing up for a good school year with a lot of positive momentum from the end of last year.
Tremendous momentum from last year and over the last, really 3 years of the strategic plan. Like, people have been doing the hard work. Come check us out. We're doing really amazing things. That back to school event for a resource, need a backpack, need to get some medical care, whatever, some food, making sure you understand transportation. We're all going to be there on the 22nd. So Friday the 22nd at Olympic Middle School. I'm going to say starting at 4. Check us out on the website if you need to know, that. But I believe it's 4 o'clock. If you give me 1 second here, I feel so terrible because that's such a big event. Jeff, we have like 800 students and their families show up for that event.
Yeah.
So I got 4 o'clock right here. Yeah. So 4 o'clock on the 22nd, next Friday. At Olympic Middle School. I'll be there.
And it's not a middle school specific event.
No,
it's a district-wide.
District-wide. Your students going to go to the Shelton School District next year. Come on by.
Yeah.
We got something for everyone. And like I said, 800 students and their families show up for that event. So it is very well attended. The line will be out the door before it even starts.
These conversations are great as we move forward through the school year, and we'll keep having them here. And we'll get another deep dive in coming up soon with the finance director here as well to kind of talk on that side of issues. We've been talking a lot about that, so it's good to kind of push that off to the side. As always, Superintendent Jessee, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jeff.